hold on. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the next logical step in color. Oh, and Benita, do me a favor. Close the mic off.
Okay.
Okay. If anybody wants to speak to me, just click on the mic and speak to me. I always like to talk to you if possible because you may have a question that comes up while we're in the class. And if we do, I like to be able to answer. So your choice is I can see my chat and I also can see your speaker. So if you want to, you can ask me a question in chat, or you could actually click the mic on and speak to me for a moment. Just make sure that you have a quiet environment if you do that. And when you're done speaking, you close the mic back off because, again, this is being recorded and all the background noises and everything we're going to hear. And we don't want to do that, okay? Another thing, I think I mentioned this last week. I'm going to mention it again. Zoom is not recording my mouse moves. So I'm moving my mouse around on the stage here. You guys should be able to see that right now, but it's not going to be recorded. So it's going to make things a little bit difficult for you when you go in and try to do the exercises later on because the mouse is not going to display. And I'm very sorry about that. It's unfortunate, but it isn't really there's nothing I can do about it. I have to wait until Zoom actually solves this or changes this. They told me it would take about a month, and that was a couple of weeks ago. So I'm hopeful that at any time now, they will resolve this issue, all right? So that's that. So if you got my email, you'll know that the email, the latest email I sent you talked about what the assignment is. The assignment is essentially we're going to create a business card. We have a choice when we create this business card. The choice is we can make it in Adobe Illustrator. We can make it in Adobe InDesign. Frankly, I would really prefer you to make it in Adobe InDesign because as graphic designers, I want to train you. Oh, wait a minute, I got something here. What does it say? He's the only class that likes to use the mic. I'm shocked at that, but I guess it's nice. Okay. Well, I feel this way about it. Listen, this is not my class. This is your class. You all understand that? This is your class. And I'm your teacher. And you only get me one night. And the truth of the matter is you really should have the opportunity to ask me a question in the live session if a question occurs. And the only way to do that is for you to hit the mic and ask me a question. I do ask, though, that if you do that, you try to keep the environment around you quiet because, like I told you, we get noise, and that noise really kind of gets in the way. So it's really important that we agree on that we're going to keep things quiet when you talk to me. And remember, too, to shut the mic off after you're done talking to me because, again, you know, I don't want to just leave it live and it have unexpected noises come in. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to be working on this. It's a business card. The business card will have a logo and it'll have some text. And if you take a look at the email that I sent you, it gives you the instructions, the general instructions that you use to create this. It's very important that you understand this, though. I am the instructor. I am the boss here, not that piece of paper. That piece of paper is a general outline, a general rule. I'm the one that is going to set the overall pace and overall project. I'm going to make changes, and you'll see these changes if you come into the live chat, or into the live session, or if you watch the recorded session. I can't tell you how many times I've had students submit work to me that I know for a fact they didn't watch the live sessions because things aren't done that I mentioned I wanted done in the live session. It's your responsibility to pay attention to what's going on in the class. That means either come to the sessions like you guys have, or watch the recorded sessions. There are instructions that I'm going to give you. You'll learn things from me. And the only way you're going to learn from me is to interact with me. That's why I want you to have the speakers, and that's why I want you to be able to talk to me if possible. And that's why you really need to watch the sessions. As I say, that piece of paper that you got from me, that email that I sent you, and what it lists in the course for what the assignment is, isn't really totally complete. And it doesn't give you all the details about how you go about doing what you're going to do to make this card. It's up to me to help guide you to do that correct. I doubt very much that any of you guys have created a business card yet. Have any of you done anything like that yet? Have any of you tried to create a business card using Adobe InDesign, say?
Yes.
You did in Illustrator.
I did it myself. This is Haiti. I did it in Illustrator, and I've also done it in InDesign just to be able to practice for myself.
Good. Actually, I just want to tell you that InDesign is the correct application to use to do this project. It's the application that's correct. Because they ask you to do it in Illustrator in the course, I will accept it if it's done in Illustrator. However, I would prefer that it get done in Adobe InDesign simply for your benefit, not for my benefit. You guys are the ones that are going to go out and look for a job. You guys are going to be the ones that are going to get the job, and you're going to go in and you're going to start working, and your guys are going to be responsible to do things the right way. So again, I will accept it if it comes into Illustrator. I'm open to that, but the bottom line is the right way to do it is InDesign. I will give you some instruction tonight on how to go about preparing your actual pieces that you're going to submit. I'm not going to design the whole card. I'm going to show you the process. What I'm going to be focusing on quite a bit is the use of color in production, because this is a color in production course. So two things we have to accomplish here. We have to get you familiar with color as much as possible, and how it goes from being the study that we looked at last week into the real graphic design world, which is what we're going to be talking more about this week. Plus, we have to start talking more about production techniques, because that's the other part of the equation. So that's the kind of thing that we're going to be covering tonight. All right? Any questions at this point? I assume, as I say, you guys got the files, your emails, everything's good. You feel you've got everything from me and everything was able to work. Did anybody take a look at any of the sites that I sent over? Any of the YouTube videos that I sent you? Did any of them look? Did any of you look at any of them? And are they working? Can anybody tell me that they are?
This is Dee again. I haven't really had the chance to,
Okay.
I have been sick, so I just got onto the computer today just now.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let me know if you have any problems with it. I guess that's the best I can expect at this point, which is, and the only reason I'm not saying you absolutely have to look at this stuff immediately. I'm just wondering if anybody had the opportunity to see any of them and if, in fact, they were working okay. Because I have had a couple of instances where people said they weren't able to access the links. They just didn't work properly. All right, so I am going to proceed with our actual lesson tonight, unless you guys, anybody have a question or something that you want to say before I move on. Okay. All right, I'm going to start off by opening up Adobe Illustrator. This project does, in fact, begin in Adobe Illustrator. Now, I have two files open here. I have what's called Aqua Logo Final.ai. I'm going to switch it back over to Aqua Logo 2-color PDF, and I'm going to go zoom out. Okay, might go zoom out again. All right, so there's my logo. This is the logo. If you go into the course and you go to the assignment area and you click the file, you'll download this piece of art, something very much like this, I should say. I also supplied you with this piece of art. This is what we're going to start with. Now, what you have to understand is that this is a 3-color business card print job. What we're talking about here is 3 colors of 3 Pantone colors, okay? You remember me speaking a little bit about Pantone last week? I know we didn't cover an awful lot in it, but you guys remember me mentioning Pantone last week?
I remember.
Good. Okay, so the bottom line is that we are going to be working in Pantone color. Right now, we have this logo, which is, oh, and by the way, you're going to use this logo. This logo, I'm going to click on the aqua because I want to show you something. Let me get my, first of all, let me get my, there we go. Notice that when I click on the aqua, can you see that there's an outline around the letters? And it's the same with this. When I click on this one, you see how there's an outline around that letter? You guys know that you can take type and you can create outlines around the type, right? You know that. And as a matter of fact, in order to send, yes, you created outlines. Exactly. What I did was I created outlines. That's what you guys need to do in Adobe Illustrator. If you're going to send me an Illustrator file, you should create outlines with your type. And I'll show you a little bit more about that later on. Does any one of you guys not know what I'm talking about when I say type, create outlines? Do you guys all basically know what I'm talking about? I know D, I know Derek knows.
Yes, I know.
Benita, is that you or is that D?
I'm sorry, it's Benita.
Okay, Benita, so you understand what that is. D, how about you? You okay with that concept, creating outlines
Yes.
and type?
Yes, I was just about to answer. Yes, I do know.
Great. You remember me sending you the links to the 2 videos? I think it actually was 1 video
Yes.
where I created
Yes.
outlines and I embedded the graphics.
I got a couple of emails from you. I just haven't had the chance to check them.
Okay.
But yes.
Well, let me explain why I sent you that. That's for your future. Whenever you have classes with somebody, even if it's not me, chances are you're going to be in Illustrator doing some part of Illustrator. And if you're going to create something in Illustrator and send it to somebody, and if it has an embedded graphic, you should really link that graphic, or there's a very good possibility it will not display on your instructor's computer. The other thing, too, is that if you have text that you create, you should create outlines so that it will display on your instructor's computer. If you create a PDF, it will display on your instructor's computer. The problem is if your instructor tries to take that PDF and open it up in Adobe Illustrator, Illustrator can't handle it the same way that Acrobat Reader does. And your text will get confused, and your linked graphic will get confused, and your instructor will not be able to take a look at your work. So do you guys understand that? It's very important that you do.
Yes, I do understand this, Benita.
Okay. So what I'm saying to you is I want you to remember this from this point forward, that that's part of your process, so that your instructors have flexibility in how they look at your work. They can, if they choose to do it, and I do it a lot, believe me, and I may be the only one, but I doubt it. I tend to open things up in Adobe Illustrator from time to time to check out what's going on. I don't just open things up in Adobe or Acrobat Reader. I generally will, on very often, open things up in Illustrator. If the text isn't properly prepared, which means created outlines, it's not going to work for me. If the linked graphics are not embedded using the links panel, they will get lost, and I will not be able to see them. And then I just might as well close the file because I'm going to get nowhere with it. All right?
Can I ask you a question? Just
Yeah,
Benita.
go right ahead.
I noticed when I did my part 2 assignment and I did my headlines for my wheels, when I tried to make that font, that text, the outline, it was like grayed out and it wouldn't let me. Do you know why?
Because you didn't have the text selected, maybe?
No, I had it highlighted.
You had the text highlighted and it wouldn't. When you had the text highlighted, was there a little square with an underline underneath the text?
That I don't remember, but if that was the case, what would that have meant?
Well, that would have meant that the text was live and you would have been able to create outlines of it. If it were any other way, look, if it looked like this, watch. If it look like that, I'll go type, create outlines. You see it's gray.
Uh-huh.
So that means it's already, the outline's already been created.
Okay.
The outline is gray.
Yeah.
But if I had text, watch this. I'm just gonna put some text here so I can show you. B-I-L-L. Oops. Look, check it out. This is what I'm talking about. See that word bill there?
Uh-huh.
Okay, do you see there's that little square and then the line that runs under it?
Yes.
Okay, that's what real live text looks like. That text, I can come in anytime I want, and I can change this to Billy. See what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Okay, but if I do this, notice the line. If I go type, create outlines, you see how it's no longer got that line under there?
Right.
And it's got the graphic, the outline around the text. That's a graphic element. It's no longer type.
Okay.
So all I can say to you is that maybe you had already outlined the type and you forgot. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't really say unless I actually saw the file. So if it's something you want to go back and check, and if it's something other than this, maybe send it to me and I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
All right. So let's get to where we're going here. So we have this logo, and the first thing is this is called Aqua Excursions. Okay. And as I explained to you, this is supposed to be a 3-color job. Now, what we're talking about with 3 colors, you guys probably know a little bit about 4-color process. 4-color process involves cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. That's where you print with 4 separate colors, and you print an entire print an entire project in these 4 colors. And it can be kind of expensive, but when you're creating a business card, if it's a 3-color printing job, you generally don't use 4-color process. What you use are Pantone colors. Now, right now, this particular piece has 2 colors. There's a yellowy color and there's this burgundy color. Now, I've opened up the swatches panel. Now, the first thing that you'll notice about the swatches panel is that I went in there and I went select all unused. Remember, I talked about that last week? Select all unused. And it selects all the swatches that come normally. And then I deleted them by deleting the swatch right there. And then what I did was I created these 2 colors. And if you take a look, when I sit on top of them, it's CMYK. Can you see that? Cyan 17. Magenta
Yes, I see
20, yellow 91, and K01. You see that? And this one has its color, CMYK, as well. So these are both 4-color process colors. This is no good for your project. This is the first thing that you have to understand. So if you were to just take this logo the way it is right here and submit it to me, your project will be partially deducted because you will have submitted the wrong colors. It's absolutely.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
But didn't you say you were going to be providing us with the logos? Are you going to have us change the colors? Is that what you're trying to say?
You betcha. What the heck you think this is? Christmas? You're a graphic designer. I'm teaching you. You're going to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it. You're going to do it. Otherwise, you don't learn. I know how to do it, but you won't. I'm going to show you how to do it.
Teach on.
I'm going to show you how to do it. That's the whole point of this. The whole point of this is you watch me. I'm going to demonstrate exactly how you go through this process and do this change. I just want you to understand, though, that this logo, the way it is right now, the colors are not Pantone colors. They are, in fact, 4-color process colors. And secondarily, for an aqua excursion company, the colors are total crap. I mean, do they really look aqua-y to you? Does anybody think that's an aqua?
Not at all. They look horrible.
Right. Well, even if they don't look horrible, they don't look very aqua-y, do they?
No, they need to be more cool or blue or something.
Right. And this is also a creative design class. So my job here is to not be the ultimate sayer of how things are. I'm kind of like the wizard that walks you through the process of how you do things, and I let you use your own creativity to do the things that you need to do and give you the opportunity to do the thinking based on the correct process. So I'm really like a process server. That's the best way I can describe myself. I'm going to describe to you the process, and you're going to actually go in and you're going to do the work, okay? So we have two colors here that we have to change because, first of all, that yellow will not fly and burgundy will not fly. Doesn't work for a logo for me, and I hope you feel the same way about it. So what we want to do is, and by the way, just so that you know, the colors aren't right anyway. These are CMYK colors. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're going to do three colors. There's going to be one blue, another blue, or some kind of coloration that works for aqua excursion, and they should be Pantone colors. So is that clear enough for everybody? Any
Yes.
questions about
Yes.
anything that I'm saying here?
Are we supposed to be working then with RGB, or is Pantone a whole other
Pantone is its own separate little
family?
entity. It's not CMYK. It's not RGB. It's Pantone. And once you start putting Pantone colors into this, they will transfer into your InDesign project. You're going to see me demonstrate that, and those colors will be there, and you will be able to ultimately use them in your production as well. It's not that difficult if you just know to do it. So what you have to understand Pantone is, instead of making the color, look, you got that yellow. See that yellow there? See that yellow? And you see when I bring it up, there's four colors. There's cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Those represent the mixtures of the colors to make that color. That's cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. What Pantone is a special single mixed color. There are Pantone books. Pantone is a company that has produced this system, and printers all around the world use it. And it's ultimately pre-mixed color. And the next thing, after I explain this to my satisfaction, and I believe so that you basically understand it, I'm going to go in, I'm going to show you where to find the color book that you're going to use. And once you know where to find the color book, you're going to go in and pick the colors. I'm going to pick a couple of colors, and then you're going to go in and pick your own colors. I don't expect you to pick the same colors that I picked. I expect you to pick your own colors. And I'm going to give you total freedom on that. I don't care if you make them look wacky. I don't care if you make them look good. It's up to you. The important thing, though, is that I see you make the change. I see you go in and do this. That's part of the assignment. Because without this, you learn nothing. And I'm here to make you learn something. Okay? And it's very important, if you have a job that's a three-color job, you have to know that a three-color job is going to require you to use Pantone colors. So you have to know, as soon as someone says this is a three-color job, you have to know you're using Pantone colors, and you have to know how to go about doing it. And this is part of the whole process of understanding color. Any questions about that?
I'm good.
All right. Very simple. We got our swatches palette open. The only colors that are in here, and you're going to see when you open this file up, I believe I sent you the aqua_logo 2-color. This is the PDF, though. Let me see. I want to save this as an AI. Hold on. Give me a second to do this. 2-color. I'm going to change to AI and hit save. Yeah. 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 And there we go. Notice now it's an AI. Okay? All right. So if yours is the PDF, change it to an AI just like I did it. Everybody see how I did it? Yes, no?
Sorry, yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I just want to make sure that you're getting this, because this is couple of little subtle things. All right. So I basically only have the 2 colors that are being used in here, and I got rid of all the other colors. So I want to open up. I want to show you where to go and find the color libraries. There are color libraries, and believe it or not, the Pantone system has a whole bunch of different types of colors that you can use. they're called books. And the most common books that we will probably use more than any else would be probably three. One would be the Pantone coded, the Pantone uncoded, and the Pantone process. The Pantone process means that that color can be generated either by using it as a four-color process or a Pantone color. So it's got a little more flexibility to it. And you would use that color if you were making like a four-color flyer and you had to use a Pantone color. The reason that we're going to be going with the Pantone coded is because the majority of business cards that you go and find today are on coated stock, a nice coated stock. And coated stock usually has some sort of a lamination or some sort of a varnish that's been applied to the paper to give it a slick, smooth, shiny surface. And the ink sticks to that paper a certain way. And the coated ink is the type of ink that you use for that. An uncoated stock is just a paper that has been probably heat pressed so that it's got a nice smooth finish. But because it has no coating on it, the ink prints and absorbs differently on that than it does on the coated stock. So there are two very specific kinds of paper that you're going to find extremely common, and that's the coated stock and the uncoated stock. For our purposes, to make this easy and to make this consistent, what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify that this job, and remember now, I am sort of playing the role as the art director. So if I'm your art director, I'm your boss. So when I tell you to do these things, take note of what I tell you and do the things that I tell you to do, because I'm going to be looking to see that you do, because I'm going to demonstrate how you do it. And if I demonstrate it and you don't do it, then you're just basically wasting my time and you're not learning anything, and that's not good. You're here to learn. And I only got so much time to teach you this stuff, so I want to make sure that you get it. So we're going to be working with the Pantone Process Color Book. Okay, so let's get into how we do this. Once again, the Windows menu is the menu that we come in and we find all our panels in. This is a really good window, a menu, in that it has all of our panels in it. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom here. And you see where it says Swatch Libraries? Right there. See it? I'm highlighting it. See it? Swatch Libraries. Remember, guys, right now, the ones that are in my class here are seeing my little arrowhead. Maybe what I'm going to do is, hold on a second. Let me do this. Let me go up here and let me put on the, where is it? Oh, boy, where is it? Is it annotate? Yeah, highlight and mouse. Let's see. I put the mouse and the annotate on this. I don't know whether this is working. Let me see. There we go. There it is. All right, you guys can see the little circle now?
Yes.
All right. That's going to help a little bit, but I still don't know whether you're going to get the mouse. And if you do get the mouse, it's not going to be a mouse like if I'm working with a tool, which I probably won't be using that much anyway. So we should be okay. But at least you're seeing now a general area of where I am. So let's go back up to the window menu. Okay. And I'm going to come down and I'm going to go to the Swatch Libraries. Here on your right is another little pop-up. And in this pop-up are a whole bunch of different colors. The one that we are most interested in is the one that is called color books. There are all the different types of color books that are available to us. The chances of you using every single one of them in your creative lifetime is extremely remote. I have been doing this work for I'm not even going to tell you because it's so long, I'd embarrass myself. I've been doing this for a very long time. And I haven't used but half of these books. And the majority of the books that I use are these books right here, the Pantone books. The Toyo books, the True Match, and all these other, like the Folklatone and all that stuff, those are for different countries pretty much. So the ones that we're going to be concerning ourselves with are the Pantone ones, because the Pantone ones are the ones that we will probably be working with most consistently. The ones that I want to point out to you and make special note of is the Pantone CMYK coded and the Pantone CMYK uncoded. notice that it says Pantone plus CMYK. Essentially what that means is it can be either used as a Pantone or as a CMYK equivalent. So if you're given a Pantone color that needs to be modified to be made into CMYK, you would open that book and you would find the color in there. In our case, though, we are just going to be using straight Pantone solid color. Okay, so what do we have here? We got a solid color that's going to be printed on a coated stock, and it is the Pantone color. So do you understand what I'm saying here? The one that's right below it is solid uncoated. So that's a solid color which would be printed on uncoated stock, and it's the Pantone solid uncoated. We're going to pick the Pantone solid coated, and I'm going to let go, and there is my Pantone plus solid coated color book. The first thing that I want you to notice about this is each one of these little colors has two features. The first feature is in the lower right-hand corner, there's a little white triangle with a dot in it. That is the symbol for a color which is a Pantone color. Watch, I'm going to sit on it. The second thing is, see what it says, Pantone Violet C. So it's telling you that, look at over here. This one doesn't have the corner on it. And when I sit on this, what does it say? CMYK. So can you see the difference? Watch this. This is Pantone Reflex Blue. See what I'm talking about? So those are your indicators that you have a Pantone color, is that there's that little corner with the dot in it. Then what I want you, what? Go ahead.
I have a question. Couldn't you also use the little library looking icon at the bottom of where the swatches are to select the Pantone solid coated? No, to the left.
Here.
Yeah, right there.
Yes. You can come to color books and you can come down and you can choose it here as well. The point is, though, that I wanted to show you that you can also get it from the window menu, swatch libraries, and color books. Okay? But you are absolutely correct. You can also get it from there. Yes. Very good. Okay? So we're not looking to duplicate these colors. What we're looking to do is we're looking to create our own colors. And I just accidentally popped down to the blue area. Let's see where we are. So there's a lot, all these colors are individual. Look, each one of these are, this is Pantone 7676C. Now, that means that it's the Pantone 767cc. The C means it's a coated stock. So that's also a little indicator that you're in the right area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I need to pick two colors for my logo. You need to pick two colors for your logo. I'm going to pick the colors that I think I want for my logo. So I'm going to come in here, and I think I'm going to pick, let's see. I'm going to pick, I think maybe I'll pick, oh, I don't know, maybe 562. Boom. Look at that. Pantone 652C. All you have to do is click on the color, and it automatically pops the color into your swatches panel. What could be easier than that? Watch, I'm going to do another one. There's a dark blue. Boom. Look, it puts it right in there. Now, I don't really want that dark blue, so all I have to do is click on the garbage can and delete the swatch. Yes. And boom, it's gone. But you have to first select it, watch, and delete it, and it's gone. That's simple. Okay? But the important thing is Pantone plus solid coated. Come in and find yourself the color. I want a nice blue. Let's see what I want. All right, we'll go with, this was what, 552? What did I say, 562? I guess it was, where was it? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to grab this one. That's good enough. So there's one of my blues. Now, to make this thing look good, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to contrast it with a slightly darker blue. And I think to do that, I'm going to come a little bit further down here, and I'm going to look for something that would be a good bit darker, but in the same kind of vein. Let's see what I want to grab here. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll go with that color right there, Pantone 7685C. Let's see how those two go together. Okay, so now I got these two colors. Check it out. Pantone 652C, Pantone 7685C. There are my two colors. That's all there is to creating, and you're not really creating, you're just selecting Pantone colors from the Pantone solid color book. Any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay. And does it seem easy enough to you?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not hard. The most important thing for you to understand is that you need to know what paper you're printing this on. Is it a coated stock or is it an uncoated stock? If it's a coated stock, then the chances are you're probably going to be using either the Pantone Plus CMYK if it's going to be going into a brochure, or you're going to be using the Pantone coated if it's going to be just a single color. Those are your two options, really. All right, so now how do I apply these colors? You apply them just like a regular color. You come over here and you click on the aqua, and I choose that color for my aqua. And I come down, I click the excursions, and I click that color for my excursions. And then I want to complement the color. I click on that emblem there, and I come over here and I click on that color, and there is my Aqua Excursions logo using my two Pantone colors. I mean, could it be any easier? That's all there is to it.
I got a question.
Yeah.
When we're applying the colors, can we put them like ungroup the letters and color the letters separately, or?
Yeah, you can if you want, but you remember you can only use two Pantone colors and say black. It's a 3-color job. So you're going to be able to use like a black color or a gray color, and then you got 2 other colors. So you can only, in your total production, you can only use 3 colors. And I would say probably use the black for the text on the card and use these 2 colors for your Aqua Excursions logo. I do want to caution you, though. Don't go too crazy with this, because I'll show you. I mean, I can go, watch, click on this thing and go Object, Ungroup. Actually, you know what? I can't, because I think this is actually a compound path is what it is. So since this is a compound path, I wouldn't do that. What I would do is I would just basically, I would prefer to see you go with a color for this and a color for this and a color for that. And what do you think? Does that look a little bit more like a...
Much nicer.
Well, I mean, not that it looks nicer. I'm not saying the other colors aren't nice, but if you were going to be creating something that's aqua-y, would you not think that that's a little more aqua-y than...
Yes, okay. Maybe instead of much nicer, then I meant much
Yeah.
more appropriate.
Yeah, appropriate for the particular theme that we're dealing with here.
More
okay?
professional.
That's all there is to it in Adobe Illustrator. I mean, it is just that simple. You've got your colors up here. There are your 2 colors. And you basically now have created a logo that has the 2 Pantone colors that you need for your project. It's done. That part's done. Now, all you have to do is understand that you don't put an Adobe Illustrator file into InDesign. What you do is you put a file like either a PDF or what's known as the EPS, which is an encapsulated PostScript. We're talking about print right now. There are 2 file formats that you would convert, and the next step is for me to do that. I'm going to actually create those 2 files, and I'm going to show you how to create them. Then what we're going to do is we're going to jump into InDesign, and I'm going to bring them into a InDesign document, and I'm going to show you how that comes into the InDesign document. And then I'm going to show you my business card and how I put my business card together, and that will be my presentation for the night. Okay? As far as making this card in Adobe Illustrator, I'm not going to go into a great bit of detail about that, but I will show you how to create a proper business card size Adobe Illustrator file. I will do that for you, and I will do that right now. Okay? So for you who want to do this in Adobe Illustrator, I really would rather you don't, but I am not going to be real strict about this. If you choose to do it, fine with me. I would prefer you do it in InDesign, but I will let you. So here's what I'm going to do.
Question.
What?
I have a question.
Sure,
the
go
logo file, since I really haven't seen it yet, what type of file is it currently in? Is it in Design or is it in Illustrator or
You mean
what?
the thing that I'm working on right here?
the
Yeah, that's
actual
the file
logo
that
file.
you're gonna do the same thing. I just showed you what you're gonna do. You're gonna open
No.
up this panel and you're gonna recolor this with these.
No, I know that part. I'm just saying the actual logo design itself, not the
That's the
colors, but
logo
the
design
design.
right there.
What type of file is it that we're getting in?
I think
I'm saying what type of file is it
either
in when we get
the one that I sent you will either be a PDF, which you can bring into Illustrator and convert to a .ai file, like I did with this one. Remember me doing it just now?
yes.
Or it's an Adobe AI file. And if it's an AI file, you can just go right in and work on it. If it's a PDF file, what I would recommend you do is just go in and change it into a .ai file and work on that, and you'll be good to go. I don't exactly remember at this moment whether I sent you an AI or a PDF, so I can't be certain of that. But that's why mine happened to be a PDF, so I went in and I changed it. And you saw how I did that. If you don't remember, go back and watch the beginning of the this recorded.
No, I remember. I was just curious to know what file it was.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on that. That's really what it is. Okay, so that's that. This is, believe me when I tell you, in the end, this is not that difficult. The biggest difficulty here is grasping the overall concept of this. The real thing that we're doing here is we're limiting the production of this card to 3 very specific colors. There are 2 of them right there. That one is Pantone 652C. That one is Pantone 7685C. Both of them are coded. And then perhaps the third color will be the black. Okay? So that's the key to understanding this project, is that there's only 3 colors that we're working with. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is, this is for the benefit of those of you who might want to do this in Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to show you how to set up your basic artboard for this. File, New. And you get the new document dialog box, of course. And you're going to call this your name. So I'm going to put BILL underscore Aqua, AQUA underscore CARD. Okay, so I would prefer, I'm just putting Bill, but I would prefer that you put more than your first name. Mine should really say Bill Sweeney underscore Aqua underscore card. Okay, so you put your name in so I know who it is. I mean, when I actually download it to my computer and keep it for later on. So you understand that? Now we have profiles here, and what?
No, I was just responding to your question. I said, got it.
Okay, so we have profiles here. We have print, web devices, video, film, basic, RGB, flash builder. I'm going to just pick print for now. Okay, now what this generally does is it generally sets me up for print. There's a couple of things I don't like. For instance, it gives me units points. I don't like units points. I like inches. So what I would do is I would change units points to inches. Okay, the size of this, if we want, what I really like about this is you can come in here and you can find, well, you know what? It doesn't have the business card in here. Okay, it has letter, legal, tabloid, A3 through B4. So it doesn't have letter in here. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to come in here and I'm going to have to set the size. Now, for those of you who don't know the size of a business card, it's 3.5, which is 3.5 inches wide by 2 inches high. By 2 inches high. And that is, the orientation is landscape. Okay? So you with me so far? Inches, put your name, Aqua Card, profile, now becomes custom. You see how it changed to custom? It changed to custom because I put that size in there. And the size is 3.5 inches by 2 inches. And the orientation should be portrait. I'm sorry, landscape, not portrait. The next thing is the bleed. Now, you may want to bleed something off the card. Do you know what, does any of you know what bleed means?
Yes, sort of.
Kind of. If you have something on your card that's going to run off the edge of the card, you have to make it bleed. and you have to indicate bleed. Bleed is an area outside the card which will allow that color to go to make sure that there's enough of the color to go right cleanly to the edge. That's essentially what a bleed really is. And I can give you the number right here. I'm going to make mine bleed. I'm going to actually have mine bleed. So I'm going to set bleed numbers in here. And it's set for inches. So the number I'm going to put in here is 0.125. 125 is equal to 1/8 of an inch. Okay? So 0.125, just keep that in mind, that 0.125 is equal to an inch. All right? You good?
Yes.
Okay.
All good.
What? Okay. Now, the only other thing I want you to do here is I want you to pay attention to this. This here, we only have a choice of CMYK and RGB, so we're not going to mess with that. We'll leave that alone. But I do want you to take a look down here, and I want you to make sure that your raster effects are set to 300 pixels per inch. You have different settings in here, high, medium, or screen. Make sure that it is set to 300 pixels per inch, and the preview mode just leave as it is. So the only thing I really want you to worry about here is that, okay? So take a quick look at everything that I have here. Your name, Aqua Card, the number of artboards, you're going to only have one here. The size, the width is 3.5 inches, and your units is inches. Your height is 2 inches, and it is landscape with a bleed of 0.125 inch. And that should be linked, which means that the bleed is going to run all the way around the card. You got that?
Excuse me. I thought the instructions said that this was a double-sided business card, so it would only be one artboard.
Yeah. You can do a second artboard. You can make 2 artboards if you want to make it a double card. So you come up here. I generally will accept a one-sided card.
Okay.
But here's all you do if you want to make this 2 cards. Okay, is you set it up as 2, and then what I would do is I'd set it up like that, arranged by column. Okay, and spacing. What I would do is I would put in 0.5, or actually 0.75. Give it a space. 0.75. So if you're going to use 2 artboards for a front and a back, make it 2 artboards and set it up so that it is arranged by column and the spacing is 0.75. Everybody good with this?
Yes, but isn't this just the logo? This isn't the business card yet, right?
No, this is for the card. I'm showing you how to set up the actual piece of art that you're going to use for your card in Illustrator, if you choose to do this in Illustrator. Some of you might want to do this in Illustrator. I'm showing you how to set up the blank document for your card.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hit OK. And there you go. Look at that. There are your documents. I'm moving this out of the way. There are your 2 documents. Do you see the red line out here?
Yes.
That red line is your 1/4 inch bleed. There are your bleeds. Those are your cards. The black line there shows you where the card trims or where it cuts back. So in other words, let's say, for instance, I wanted to, oh, and by the way, check this out. See, I got all my default colors here again. See that?
Yes.
Because this is a new file, I have to go through the process of going, watch, select all unused, and hit delete. Delete, yes. Click that and delete it. Now, yes, there are no colors in here because the logo isn't on this. But I'm going to use the logo on this, so that means what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. Oh, let me get this out of here. And I'm going to find my logo. Actually, it's not that final one. It's this one. There we go. I want that one. And I'm going to select that by marqueing it, edit, copy, and go back to my Bill Aqua Card. Watch, edit, paste, boom. And there's my logo. And I want you to notice what happened. The moment I pasted my logo, my colors followed me along. Look at that. Isn't that great? So now I have my
cool.
Pantone colors right here. So let's say, for instance, I decide that I want to put a dark blue border or a thick banner across the bottom. I do this. I deselect this, grab my rectangle tool, come out to my bleed area, and I drag all the way across to my other side bleed area. So now I have this thing bleeding on the left side, or the right side, the bottom, and the left side. I click my dark blue, and I come over here and verify that there's no stroke on it. And look at that. I now have the correct color blue, the correct color blue, the correct light color blue, and I have built 2 areas of my card already. Now what I'm going to do is come in here and put my name and all the other information. I've already got my card close to half built already. And I'm using my 2 colors. There's my dark blue, there's my light blue, and there is my black. Cool, huh?
Yeah, that's cool. I do have a question to ask you, but I don't know if you want to deal with it now. But my question would be, when I was doing my other project, what's the difference between the layers panels and the artboard panels?
The layers panel, the layers are the artboard panel. This is an artboard.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom blank is an artboard. The top is an artboard. A layer, on the other hand, let me open up the layers. Let's see if it's open already. It's not. There's my layers panel. Right now, everything is on one layer. You see that? Everything is on one layer. All right? Now, if I wanted to, I can create a new layer, and I can call this bar, okay? Because this is that bar on the bottom. And I can click on that. And you see that little icon right there, indicates selected art? I can drag that up to the bar layer. And now when I click on the bar layer, watch this. That piece hides. So I've actually moved this onto a separate layer. So now I'm going to create another layer above the bar layer, and I'm going to call this logo, L-O-G-O. And I'm going to come over here, and you see that says target. Click the target. I click on it, and what it did was it selected all of my logo, and I'm going to drag that up to the logo layer. And now watch, I hide that, and there is my logo. It's on its own layer, and that is on its own layer. So what layers are internal, whereas artboards are separate entities.
Okay, I mean, I got that. I mean, I understood that part, but like, say if I saw that they had like a panel like this that just says boards. So, but it doesn't, I just don't understand.
Window, artboard.
Okay.
There's your artboard. You have 2 artboards, right?
Okay.
There's artboard number 1 and artboard number 2. There's artboard number 2. There's nothing on artboard number 2. If I click on artboard number 1, the logo and the bar is on artboard number 1. So I go view, fit all in window. There are my 2 artboards. So the artboards are these 2 elements here. The layers, on the other hand, are different in that you can put objects on a particular layer to separate them out.
Okay, then one last question, and I'll let you keep going.
Good.
What's the benefit of sub-layers?
Sub-layers are basically when you have, like, for instance, look at the logo. There's the excursion. See it?
Mm-hmm.
And there's the aqua. Okay, and actually this is still there. I don't know why, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that and hit delete, and delete that layer. And ooh, boy, really, you know what? Control Z, that didn't work at all. Let's see if I can do this a different way. Yeah, that did it. I got rid of that layer. I don't know why that was still there. I think it was because I had a duplicate in there. But you see on the subgroup layer, each of these elements, just so that you know, this logo, that's the logo. But that logo is still made up of separate elements. They all just reside on one layer as subgroup layers. And you notice that the primary layers here, the subgroup layers are indented.
Right.
So you can see the subgroup layer by just clicking that little arrow, and now you can see the subgroup layer. See? If I wanted to, I can take those subgroup layers and turn them into primary layers. But I don't really need to do that because the logo kind of goes together.
So what's the benefit of having something grouped?
Having what?
Having your layers. You know how you can group stuff in layers or something? Isn't there something called group?
Yeah, well, you can group the objects, and if you group the objects, they all turn into a grouped object on one layer, a grouped object. But in this particular case, I don't need to do that. I mean, there's just no reason to do that. If I wanted to, I could select this and go Object Group, and now when I click on this, you'll see that I'm no longer on subgroup layers. But if I open this layer up, this is the group layer. Click on that. They're now still on subgroup layers, but they're within that group.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
So in other words, what you have to realize is every single one of these elements has to have its own layer to keep it separated. These layers are you're never going to get rid of them totally. You can manipulate them and change their relationship to other layers, which is what I just did here, but they all stay on their own layer. They have to be on their own layer. Otherwise, they collide and things go crazy. So the way this program works is that every single object that you create has its own layer. And as a graphic designer, it's kind of up to you to decide where those layers are. And the way you do that is by using the layers panel.
And then what you just showed us, if something you wanted to pull something to another layer, just like the green dots on the right side, just drag it.
Yeah. See those little green dots right there?
I didn't know that.
That means that everything's selected. If I deselect that, see all the green dots go away?
Mm-hmm.
If I click on something like that, I've targeted that layer, but see, it's part of a group. So it actually selects it. Well, it's actually still selected. I could move this to another layer if I want. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I'll bring it down and boom. See, now it's no longer part of that group. It's now on another layer. Watch. Look at that. See?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. All right. So everybody cool with this? You understand the deal with this? If you want, you can make your business card using Adobe Illustrator, just like I did right here. And that is what the card will look like. And I gave you an idea of what the logo would do when you bring the logo in. It'll bring the colors along with it. So you would have your colors here that you could use now. This is now 2 colors plus the black. So you would not add any more color to this unless you decided to not use black and maybe go with a gray or something, which is your choice. See, I'm not going to tell you creatively how to go. The only thing I'm going to tell you is that you need to have 3 colors in this project. 2 of them at least must be Pantone colors. The third could be black, or the third could be another Pantone color. So if you really wanted to, you could come in here and you could click on that Pantone 5255C, click on that, and now you've added that color in there, and that's actually a dark blue. Let me click on that element and show you what that color looks like. So you see what I'm saying? But now you can't use black. So you'd have to use those 3 colors. So do you understand where I'm going with this? You have a choice of using the 2 Pantone colors in black, or 2 Pantone colors and a 3rd Pantone color to make your card. Are there any questions about that? Because it's important for you to really get that.
No question.
Okay. And you know where to go to get this, right?
Yep.
As I guess it was Dee or Benita said, Swatch Library, color books, and we're looking for solid coated Pantone, or the way I showed you to do it, window, where are we at here? Swatch Libraries, color books, solid coat. Either way, you're going to open up the panel here, and you're going to come in and you're going to find yourself 2 nice colors that you think look nice and oceany or aqua-y, and you're going to create the logo. Let's go back to the logo. Where is it? Right here. There's our logo, and you're going to create that logo, and then we're now back to, I'm going to close this. Now we're going to move on to the next step. So if you do this in Adobe Illustrator, after you do this, all you have to do really is click on this and go edit copy, and then go to your file, Bill Aqua Card, and click on the artboard that you want. I'm clicking on the lower artboard and go edit paste, and there I've actually pasted this in, and there it is on the lower. And when you do that, it brings the color in. But of course, remember now, the colors are already in there, so it's not going to bring them in twice. It's got them in there once, and that's all you need. By the way, if you want to get rid of a color, click on the color and come down to the garbage can and click on the garbage can to delete it, and boom, there you go. You're back to where you got black and the 2 Pantone colors. Okay? So there you go. You're well on your way to actually building this card. Now, what I want to do is I want to go in and I want to show you 2 things. I want to show you the file formats that you're going to save this to, so that you can go into Adobe InDesign should you decide that you want to build this in Adobe InDesign. Then I'm going to open up InDesign and I'm going to show you how I built my card in Adobe InDesign. And then I'm going to show you how to import this graphic, and I'm going to show you what happens to the swatches panel in Adobe InDesign when you do this. And then what I'm going to do to wrap this whole thing up is I'm going to show you how to save the file to send to me. And I'm also going to talk to you about another production technique called packaging. That's another way that you can actually prepare artwork to go to a printer. So we still got a little bit more to go. Everybody good so far?
Yes.
All good.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So let's go back to my Aqua logo 2 color. There it is. All right. And what I want to do with this, oh, you know what? I want to show you another thing. I want to come in here. Now, you see this art. This is just something I want to quickly demonstrate here. You see this art here, and you see how much space there is around this art? A lot of space, right? A lot of dead space. See what, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. This piece of art is a logo, and that logo is going to be used in another production. It's going to be used in a card. So the one thing that I don't want is I don't want any extra space around that art. I want the artboard to be tightly fit to that logo. Okay? So there's a real simple way to do this. I'm going to get the artboard panel, and I'm going to come over to the menu, and I'm going to go to artboard options. Okay? And when I get this, I get the artboard options dialog box. And you see the preset here? See where I am? Preset, custom. I'm going to click on this, and you see where it says fit to artboard, or I'm sorry, fit to artwork bounds. See where I am?
Yes.
Watch what happens when I let go of this. Look at that. Hit OK. And actually, what it did was, because there's another piece of artwork here, see it? There's actually 2 versions of this. It made the top and the left and the bottom, but it also encompassed the art over here. Now, if this art weren't here, watch this. I'm going to delete it, okay? And I'm going to once again come up here, and I'm going to go, let's see here. The artboard, I think this is the artboard. Yeah, this artboard I'm going to delete, okay? Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back in. I'm going to do this again. Let's go zoom out. Okay, there we go. And let's move this over a little bit so you can see this. Let me move this over a little bit. Okay, so you see, once again, we're back to this. So I'm going to now select this thing, artboard options, and in the custom area or in the preset area, fit to artboard bounds, artwork bounds, hit OK. And what it did essentially was it modified the artboard so that it is very, very tight to the art. That's really tight. And that's what you want. That's another thing that you want to do before you actually export this art. Okay? Do you understand the difference between what I have here and what I had before and why I did it?
Yes.
I'm doing it to make the artwork clean. I'm actually not, I don't want to have that big space around the art. I want it to be nice and tight and clean. So the way to do that is to go to the artboard menu and then come in here to artboard options and then come in here to the preset and choose fit to artwork bounds. That's all. Okay? All right. So that was another thing I wanted to show you. Let's go back to this. All right. So actually I want to go to this one. There we go. That's the one I want. So this is the one that we have that we're basically done with. And it's exactly the way we want it. The art has been, the type has been turned into outlines. And that's a very important thing for us to do with a logo. When you have a logo built the way you want it, one of the things that's very smart to do is to take the type aspect of it and make it go away. And you'd select the text and you go type create outlines. So now this is an official logo. It's not going to change. The wording's not going to change. The position isn't going to change. And we've actually got it colored the way it should be. So our next step is we're going to take this and we're going to set up 2 different file formats that we're going to use in our business card in Adobe InDesign. We can use Adobe Illustrator, although I would recommend that you don't. I would recommend that the thing to do is to convert the file, save the original, which this is the original right here, aqua logo _ 2color.ai. That's the original, the .ai file. What we want to do now is we want to create 2 new files that we're going to use to place into our InDesign document. The 2 files that we're going to use, we're going to go File, Export, and give it a second. There it is. When we come in here, we have the Save As type. And there's a number of different formats in here. Let's see what we got. PSD, PNG, TIFF. These are not the right ones. These are not what I want. So I'm going to actually cancel this. And I'm going to go File, Save As. There we go. There we go. File, Save As. And what we're looking for here is, you see the Save As type down here? That's the key. We're looking for the Save As type. Right now, it's an Adobe Illustrator .ai file, right? You can see it right there. What we're going to do is we're going to click on that arrow, and we have different choices. We have an FXG, the Adobe Illustrator, Adobe PDF, Adobe Illustrator, Illustrator EPS, Illustrator Template, SVG, and SVG Compressed. All of these different file formats are for different purposes. The 2 file formats that we're interested in, that we're going to use for print, is the Illustrator EPS and the Adobe PDF. Both of those 2 files will enable us to create transparent backgrounds with our logo on it that will go into the print environment. Okay? So those are the 2 that we're going to create. I'm going to go through the process of creating both of them so that when I get into InDesign, I can bring both of them into InDesign and I can show you how they work so that it will make sense. And what I might do is I might also show you how to make an Adobe Illustrator JPEG so that you can see what happens when you use a JPEG, because a JPEG will not work for this. We need a transparent background. Right now, let me hit cancel for a second. Right now, this background looks white, but that's just an illusion. It's not really there. It's just the color of the artboard. And by going in and saving this as an EPS, we can make that background transparent, which is what we really want. Okay, so is this making sense somewhat to you, at least at this point?
Crystal
Yes.
clear.
Did someone have a question?
Nope.
No.
Okay, so let's go back and go File, Save As, and let's do the first one. Let's go in and let's save the first one as a, where are we at here? Desktop. I'm going to come into, where am I at? Aqua Exercise. I'm going to go into Aqua Exercise. And in exports, what do I got? Yeah, okay, I'm going to save it in exports. So what I'm going to do is come down here, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to do the EPS first. EPS stands for Encapsulated Postscript. This is the file that you use to go into print. A printer will have no trouble dealing with an EPS file, and neither will PDF for that matter. So that's one of the files that we're going to use, the Illustrator EPS. So now you see the Save As type says Illustrator EPS, right? And I'm going to click Save. Users exercise already exists. Yeah, I'm going to replace it. Yes, there's one in there already. I'm going to rewrite it. Yes. So now it's overwriting it. Okay, so this is the EPS options dialog box. Now, this looks like an awful lot of stuff, but there's a whole lot of things in here you don't have to worry about. The most important things are 2 really important things that you should be thinking about a little bit. The version, and essentially what the version is the type of program you're working with. Right now, I'm working in Adobe Illustrator 6, okay? So mine says Illustrator CS6 EPS. If I click this down arrow, notice that I can go into any of these legacy formats. CS5, CS4, CS3, CS2, CS10, 9, 8, 3. All these are different versions of Illustrator. Now, chances are you're not going to find anybody that's from CS back. But somebody might have, like, say, CS3 or CS4 or CS5, and they might ask you specifically to supply them with a legacy format for that CS5 program. You know, when I talk about Illustrator CS6 and Illustrator CS5, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? The version of the program, right?
Yes.
No one knows. You all know that, right?
Yes.
Have you had CS5 or is this CS6? And I assume you all have CS6, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you have another version other than this, or was this the only one you've ever had?
Only one.
Okay. So
Same
what
here.
I'm saying to you is I've actually had Illustrator 8, 9, 10, CS. I've had all these. So I'm in CS6 as well. So right now I'm just going to leave this as CS6. But the point is that somebody, your printer, might say to you, can you send it to me in version CS5? And if you do, all you got to do is come in here and go like that, and boom, there it is, CS5. You're all set. It does give you a warning. Saving to a legacy format may cause some changes. In my version right here, it's not going to be a problem, okay? Because I already know that. There's nothing in here that is going to be messing up. But I am going to change this back to CS6 because I don't really need that legacy. I just want you to know. Now, the other thing is the preview. The preview should be left alone. It says here TIFF 8-bit color. So it means essentially that you're going to be viewing this as a TIFF 8-bit color, which means you're going to see all the color. Black and white means you're going to see it in black and white, and no display or no preview means you're not going to see it at all, which makes no sense. So you're going to leave that alone. So you're just going to make sure that if somebody asks you to change the version, you're going to change it here. If no one asks you, you stay with the one that you're in. Make sure it says TIFF 8-bit color. Embed fonts. In this particular case, I'm not using any fonts anymore. They're all in outline form, so I've deselected this. Normally, it would probably look like that. But since I don't have any fonts, I'm going to make the file smaller by deselecting that. See what I mean? And then, of course, down here, there's no linked files. If I had linked files, it would include, I could click that to include the linked files. And what I believe it would do is it would embed the graphic. And the only one here is include CMYK PostScript in RGB files. We're not really even working with RGB files, so you can deselect that if you want as well. But, you know, again, these are not nearly as important. Embed, if you have fonts in there, you should embed the fonts. That's the one thing. Right now, there's none. Oh, and by the way, this is important. Under preview where it says TIFF 8-bit color, notice that it says transparent or opaque. So what that means basically is right now, you see the little bullseye is selected under transparent. That means that it's going to make the background where you see the white transparent. If I clicked on opaque, what it's going to do now is it's going to make that white. And that's no good. I don't want that. So you're just going to verify that transparent is selected when you make this. So does all of that make sense to you, what I've talked about? Are there any questions about any of that?
No questions.
Good.
I'm good.
No? So I'm going to hit OK. And it's writing the EPS format. So now if I go up into my folder, I'll do that in a minute, you're going to see that that file is in there. That's all it takes for you to create a file for print using that logo. That's all there is to it. It's not that difficult. It is correctly done. It is exactly the way it should be done. There's one other way we could go. Go to the File menu, Save As, and this time what we're going to do is instead of saving it as the Illustrator EPS, oh, and by the way, in the experts, there it is, aqua_logo 2 color, there it is, EPS. What I'm going to change this to is I'm going to change it to PDF. So I can also save this as a PDF, and I'm going to hit Save. And it is also there. I'm going to replace it because I did this before. I did this with another student earlier today. Now I'm in the Adobe PDF dialog box. What you want to do here is check your Adobe PDF preset. This is set to Illustrator default. This is not the right setting. What you want to do is you want to click on this and you want to choose Press Quality. Now, watch what it says here. These are the default settings when saving an Illustrator file as an Adobe PDF. I want you to read the descriptions as you go along as well because it tells you things. Use these settings when you plan on editing the file again in Illustrator, or when you need to place it in the layout application such as InDesign, or when the final use of the file is unknown. So it's actually okay to use this one, but to be safe, I want to choose Press Quality. Use these settings to create Adobe PDF document best suited for high quality pre-press printing. Create PDF documents that can be opened with Acrobat, Acrobat Reader 5.0 or later. So essentially, this setting just gives you a very slightly better quality PDF. And really, when you're working on art like this, you want it to be as high quality as possible. So either this press quality or the Illustrator default would be acceptable. I prefer, myself, press quality. The others are different settings that a printer might tell you. For instance, a printer might ask you for the PDF X1A 2001. If they ask for that setting, you can say, where do I find that? They'll say in the Adobe PDF presets in the Save Adobe PDF dialog box. And you just go in there, you write it down, you go in there, you find it, and you check that. I'm going to go with press quality, okay? Now, there's one other thing I want to talk to you about right now. And I think, I don't know, was it, let's see, was it Benita? Who was it? Somebody sent me files that had crop marks on them. Was it one of you guys?
Nope.
No. Okay. So it was another one of the students sent it to me. What I wanted to show you real quick is, you know, over here on the left-hand side, you have these different categories like compression. I'm not going to get into this because this is not something that we need for this project. Output, but marks and bleeds. We can put marks and bleeds on this, printer's marks. When we do this, when we go and we create this using Adobe Illustrator, I'm going to show you how to use these marks. That's one of the last things that we're going to do. But when you have a piece of art that's going to go into another piece of art, you do not put any marks on this. So you just want to come in and verify that this here is not selected. You want to make sure it's deselected. So you're just going to check it, and you're going to also check to make sure this is deselected if you're making a piece of art that's going to go into another production, okay? So you're going to check there, but mostly you're going to focus on this, and you're just going to choose press quality. Oh, and by the way, you can preserve Illustrator editing capabilities if you want. I don't know that we really need to, but it's not going to hurt if we leave it, so I'm just going to leave it. Optimize for fast web view, I doubt very much that's going to hurt anything. So, oh, and view PDF after saving, we don't really want to do that. We're not interested in looking at it, so I'm going to leave it deselected. Any questions about any of this?
No.
Okay, so I click Save PDF, and it wrote the PDF. Now, I'm going to drop this down, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go to, where is it at? Is it over here? Aqua Exercise. Here we go. And I'm going to come into Exports and check it out. There is my Aqua Logo 2 EPS. See it? There's the EPS file. Aqua Logo 2 Color PDF. So right there and right there are the two files that I just created. Those are the files that I'm going to demonstrate how to use in your InDesign Aqua card. Either one of those two files will work just fine. So you can go either way that you want. The important thing, though, for me as an instructor is to demonstrate and explain to you which files you are supposed to use when you produce something for print. Those are the two files. So I really have the responsibility, since this has to do with print production, of demonstrating and making it as clear as I can, given the amount of time that I can, how to do that. Any questions about that? Good?
I'm good.
All good.
Are there any questions down here? I'm looking and I see what's excursion you created. Yeah, you created outline. Same here, no question. Yeah. Are there anything that I missed that you wanted to have clarified? Are you guys okay?
We're good.
All right.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, cool. And this doesn't seem too difficult, does it?
Nope.
Good. All right. So that gives you all you need to know to work on this project in Adobe Illustrator. Plus, if you're going to export this logo for a file format that you're going to use in InDesign, now you know how to do that. So the last thing that leaves us with is to take a look at Adobe InDesign. So here comes Adobe InDesign. There's Adobe InDesign. All right. And if you take a look, there is my complete finished card. That is essentially what you guys are going to create. You're going to have your logo. And again, I don't want you to make it look like mine. You can make it look like whatever you want. But if you notice what I did here is I made this 2 colors and black. And look over here, Pantone, Pantone, Pantone. These are my Pantone colors, and I used black. There are my colors. So that's a correct card. This card is finished. This card is what I'm going to export at the end of our lesson to demonstrate how I export the card. Any questions about this? This is what your card should look like. Oh, and by the way, just so you know, this thing here has a gutter, a trim, and a bleed. All right? So here's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to show you how to prepare that card. Then I'm going to show you how to bring my logo in. And I'm going to show you what happens when I bring the logo in to my swatches panel. That's why the swatches panel is open. I don't know why these are open. I'm not exactly sure why I had that open. But at any rate, I want to show you how to deal with the swatches in here. Okay? This is really not difficult either. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create the actual card itself. And the process is not completely different from the process that we use in Adobe Illustrator. Go to the File menu, and we're going to go New, Document. And we get the New Document dialog box, which is in certain ways very similar to the one that's in Adobe Illustrator, although there are a couple of additional things in here that you don't get in Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator is really an artwork preparing program. Adobe InDesign is not really an artwork preparing program. It's what's really known as a layout program. The purpose of Adobe InDesign is for graphic designers to create things like brochures, booklets, flyers, sell sheets, ads, where you're composing a graphic that's made up of text and images and color areas. So it's really more of a layout program. And that's why I was saying to you, I kind of would like you to get used to working in Adobe InDesign and do this project in Adobe InDesign, because you will be expected to know this program when you get out in the real world. And if you start making business cards and booklets and advertisements and things in Adobe Illustrator, you're going to be kind of chastised for doing it. So, you know, my job is to hopefully try to get you to do things the right way. So that's all I really want to say about it. I just want to make sure you understand why I'm pushing the way I'm pushing. You know, I'm not just trying to be a pain. I'm trying to help you by giving you the right direction. Okay? Everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right. So once again, we have some settings in here. And notice that the intent is for print. The number of pages, I'm only going to set this number of pages to 1. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set this for 3. Because what I might do if I have the time later on is I'm going to show you how to take the pages and modify them so that one page could be a business card, one could be an envelope, and one could be a letterhead. So now what you've done is, instead of just making a business card, you've actually created an entire set that a business or an executive would use. Okay? So I'm going to make number of pages 3. The intent is print. Now, there's this little check mark in facing pages. Facing pages is something that you use if you are making a folded booklet. So since this is going to be individual pages, I don't need them to be facing. So I'm going to deselect facing pages. And the paper size, the page size I'm going to use is US business card. Now in here, they have more settings, and they do have a US business card size. So I'm going to click on that. And notice that when I get that, I get 3.5 inches wide and a height of 2 inches with the orientation set to landscape. See how nice and easy that is? It's clean as a whistle. The number of columns, there's going to be 1 column. There's not going to be any gutter, so I'm just going to set that to 0. Gutter is the space between columns. But since there is there's no columns, there's just 1 single column, right? I don't need to have a gutter. There's no space needed between the columns because there's only 1, all right? What I do want to do is I want to set the margins. Now, since this is a business card, the margin needs to be rather small. So I'm going to say 0.125, which is about 1/8 of an inch. You'll see, I'll explain this when we get there. And notice that there's a link here, and it's selected. If I deselect this, okay, what's going to happen is it's actually already switched it to 125. But if I deselect this, I can change the margins, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to keep that selected. The other thing I have is bleed. I talked to you about bleed in Adobe Illustrator. Bleed applies here as well. So what I want to do is I want to include bleed. And bleed will be, for our purposes, 0.125. And generally speaking, bleed will usually be 0.125. So you can make a note of that whenever you're doing something like this, I don't care whether it's a brochure, a booklet, whatever, generally you just need around a 0.125 bleed. 0.125 is the decimal equivalent to 1/8 of an inch. I'm using the same for my margin, okay? The slug area. The slug area is the area that's outside the card that you're going to leave for an area to put information to go to the printer. So what I'm going to do is, notice that I don't have that clicked. I have it deselected. I'm just going to put a slug area on one side, and I'm going to put that on the right side, and I'm going to call that slug area 2 inches. So I'm going to put a 2-inch slug area on the right side of my card. Okay? So are there any questions about any of the stuff that I did here?
You put the 2 inches on the left, not the right.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. 2. Sorry. And I'll make that 0. Thank you. Good catch. Okay. So what that means essentially is there's going to be 2 extra inches of space on the right-hand side so that I can put in instructions to the printer. I may not do that. If I don't intend to do that, I just put 0 and I wouldn't put a slug area in. But you might want to put some kind of a little instruction to the printer, so you'd put a slug area. That's what a slug area essentially is for. All right? Any questions about any part of this? Do you think that you guys could handle doing this?
All good for me.
Good. I hit OK. Watch what happens. And there you go. And look over my Pages palette. Let me move my swatches down. There are my Pages palette, and you see I got 3 business cards in here. Okay? Ultimately, what I would do is, this is my business card, this will be my letter, and this will be my envelope. I'm going to change those sizes. That's what I would do. I may or may not get to that tonight because I got other things that are more important. But that's something that I could, if you really want to see that, and I can't get to it tonight because it's already 9:30 and I got some more things to do here, I will be happy to show you that next week. Go ahead.
Sorry, I have a question. Do we have to select 3 pages, or can we just stick to the 2 that are required for the class?
Yeah, you can just stick to the 2. That's fine. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what. Watch this. I'm going to select this 3rd one, and I'm going to hit delete. And now I have both pages. Watch, view, fit. Let's see here. I don't know whether I can fit the spread window. No, it's not going to do that. View, zoom out. Let's see if that'll do it. Yeah, there you go. View, zoom out. I want to show you this anyway. So see, there are my 2 pages, the front and back. Now, let me quickly explain to you, when you saw me making those settings, like for instance, there's your margin. The margin is that purple color right there. And you'll notice that right there, the black color, that's where the actual page gets cut out of the background. That's the edge of the card. So the margin says don't put anything that you don't want to bleed any closer to the edge than there. So I don't want to put text or anything any closer to that edge than that line right there. That's what the margin's for. And that red line is the bleed. That tells me that any object that I want to go to the edge and beyond has to actually go out to that edge to bleed. And then remember I told you the slug area? There's your slug area. So does all that now visually make sense when you see this?
Yes.
Cool. So there's your front and back of your card. Now the next thing that we want to do here is we want to get our swatches panel in order. We have the color none up here. We have registration, we have paper, we have black. All these colors are colors that we want to keep. We're not going to mess with them. But these colors here are absolutely meaningless to us. These are just colors that they put into the swatches panel when you open up any file. If I could open up 50 files tonight and they'd all have those colors in there, they don't mean a thing to us. Well, I want to get rid of them. So I'm going to click on that one, hold down the shift key, click on that one, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on the garbage can, and they're gone. Easy, right? So now I have my swatches panel with just none, registration, paper, and black. Registration is black, but it is not the black that you're going to use on your production. You're going to use the regular black. Registration is a color that's used on the registration marks outside the card. You use black. So here's what I want to do. I want to demonstrate what my artwork is going to look like. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab this box, the rectangular frame tool. I'm going to go to the bleed and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag all the way over to the bleed. So now if you see, I made a box that bleeds 4 ways. Okay, all the way around it's bleeding, right? Because it went to the red line, the box bleeds. Everybody? You understand that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to click on black. And what I've done is I filled the entire card with black. Now, the only reason I'm doing this is because I want to bring in my logo and I want to show you what happens to the swatches panel, and I want to show you what the artwork looks like and why I chose the file formats that I chose. Okay? So now that I've done this, I'm going to go File, Play. Oh, you know what I think I might do? I might select this and go Object. Let's see here, Lock. So I've locked that. Okay, now I can't mess with that. It's been locked. Object, Unlock, watch. There you go, right? Now it's selectable. Object, Lock. All right, so I can't mess with it. File, Place. Whenever you want to bring a graphic in, you want to go File, Place. And then you're going to come in and I'm going to go up and I'm going to find my Aqua exercise, which I was in Exports. And remember what I told you. I have an EPS, encapsulated PostScript, and I have my PDF. Those are the 2 files that I'm going to be demonstrating tonight. All right? So I'm going to click on the Aqua logo first, EPS. There it is. It's showing you what it looks like. And I'm going to hit Open. And I'm going to click to place it. There it is. Look at that. The logo's in there. And you already noticed that it is transparent in the background. Can you see that? And it looks terrible, doesn't it? What do you think? Does that look awful?
It looks choppy.
Yes. But the reason it looks choppy is because of the way it's being displayed. So I'm going to come into the View menu, and I'm going to come down to Display Performance. And notice it says Fast Display, and what is checked? Typical display. See it? It's got the check mark next to it. I'm going to change that to High Quality Display, and look at that. Beautiful, isn't it? Doesn't that look great?
Much nicer.
Okay. What else do you notice? I'm asking a question. Look at my desktop. What do you notice?
I think there's.
I'm trying not to tell you.
The colors of the logo are now in your swatches.
Bingo. There you go. Great eye. You caught it. That's exactly what I wanted you to see. Now we have Pantone 652C and we have Pantone 7685C in here. And if I want, I can come in here and I can grab my rectangle tool and I can come in, I can drag a shape out like this and I can fill it with Pantone 7685C, and look at that. I now know that that is based on one of my Pantone colors. That is based on one of my Pantone colors. That is based on one of my Pantone colors. And this background area is black. And all I have to do is go Object, Unlock, All on Spread. And I click Delete. And now I can put my text in place and I can start preparing my business card. But I want to show you one thing more. So I'm going to go Control Z to bring this back. Object Lock Selection. Wait a minute. Yeah, Object Lock. There we go. What I want to do is I'm going to move this over into the slug area. Okay? And I want to go File, Place. And this time I want to bring in my Aqua logo too, but this time I'm bringing it in as a PDF because I want you to also see what the PDF looks like. So I click Open, and again it loads it. Watch, it loads it. Ah, you know what it might have done? Oh, this was selected. Control Z. Oh, there you go. Click, and there you go. There is my Adobe PDF, and there is my EPS. Both of them have now been loaded, and both of them are on there, and both of them look perfect. So that is essentially what you want to do, and you want to do it because you get a nice, clean representation of the graphic. Here, I'll bring this one back over so you can see it as well. Oops, Control Z. I actually didn't get the whole thing. There we go. Drag it over. That's better.
What did you do to clean that first file up again?
What did I do to what?
To clean up that EPS file when you first brought it in and it looked choppy?
I went up to the View menu, and I went to Display Performance, and I went to High Quality Display. Watch when I click Typical Display. See? It brings it back to that choppy look, Typical Display. That's all. And it's set to Typical Display by default. The reason it's set to Typical Display by default is because of the processing required to make it display high quality. So by going to the View menu and Display Performance High Quality, it's processing, it's costing you a little bit of processing power to make that display look like that. So it's up to you whether you use it this way or not. I generally use it this way. If I'm working on a very big production, I may not. I may actually go back to my View Typical Display, okay, and let it look like that, because I know once I have it in here that it doesn't really look like that. Does that make sense?
No.
No?
I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to clean it up opposed to cleaning it up. Say that one more time.
No, you're not. You're missing the point. I'm not cleaning anything up. This thing is, it really looks like this. It really looks like that. Okay? But in order for the program to display it this way, it requires more processing power. So what the program does to save a little processing power is it defaults to displaying it like that, so that it doesn't require quite as much processing power. That's all. It doesn't really, it's not really looking like that in the end. It'll never look like that. It only looks like that on screen because it's trying to save you a little processing power. Does that help? Yes, no?
Yes.
All right. I hope it does. Let me move this one over here, and let me move this one over here. All right, so there we go. Let's go to the View, and let's go to Display Performance, High Quality Display, and boom, now we're looking at it. It looks really good. Okay, and I'm going to Object, Unlock All, and delete that. There we go. All right, so now we have our banner at the bottom. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, and we have our logo over here. Okay, So now we've got our card started, and you can see by me simply bringing in my logo with my Pantone colors, I now have everything I need to make my card. So I'm going to now come over and I'm going to switch over to my card. There's my card. Now, here's the thing. I basically created this card the same way, but I did not clean this up. So what I would do here is I would come in and I would click on those and delete them. And then I would come down here and click on that. I believe, let's see. I believe that, let's see, that is that color. Okay, so I want to delete this color and Control Z. I deselected first. I want to delete, was it that color? Yeah, that color, delete that. And I want to delete that color. And now I have my Pantone colors. This is the colors that I'm using, right? That's correct. Yeah. This color you can't modify because this is an EPS. This is not, you cannot change these colors in here. If you want to change these colors, you got to go back to Illustrator to change them. So that's something that you need to know. You can't change this in here. This is an embedded file, a linked file. All right. So is that clear enough? Any questions about this card? I mean, do you guys know how to, you know how to set type, right? You just basically set the type tool and you come in here like you do in Illustrator and there you go. Click here. There we go. Click and set some type. Okay, you set your type and then of course you can go up here and you can format the type. I'm going to try Myriad. Let's see if I can find it real quickly. Myriad, MYR. Let's see, where are we at? Myriad Pro, one that I generally like to work with. That's the one that I worked with here. And I'm going to go bold. There you go. So now you see I basically set a little bit of type. That's how I did this. And then, of course, you're just going to set your type. And what I have basically here, I'm going to hit delete. What I have basically here is I have my two Pantone colors. There they are. This is all correct, Pantone colors, and my third color, which is black. So you're going to set your type up. The size type that I'm using primarily here is I'm using 9 point for this, and for this I think I'm using 10 point. That I would think is probably a good size for the text that's in there. I just put a name in. I gave him his CEO status. I put Aqua Excursions. If you want, you know, you can get rid of this. You don't have to repeat it like that, you know, and then you can basically move this text up a little bit, you know, if you want. It's totally up to you. That's just as logical. Okay, so it's Richard Hyde, CEO, Aqua Excursions.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
The Aqua Excursions, it looks like the word Aqua has a fade. Was that done on purpose? Is that something that we can do ourselves?
Yeah, and if you want, if I have enough time, I can show you how to do this, or I can show you next week how to do this. Because, yeah, all I did was essentially I used a gradient. And on the gradient, you see the Pantone color 7452C? You know how to make a gradient in Illustrator?
Yes.
Okay, load Pantone 5472C in both of the stops. And then take one of the stops and make the transparency set to say 20 or 30 or 40%, and you'll end up with a gradient that looks just like that of Pantone color. That's all I did. Tricky little demo, aren't I?
No, it's actually a really nice effect because it works
with
the whole Aqua idea as well.
It's easy to do. All you have to do is, instead of having a black and white stop, what you do is you load both the colors into both stops and then choose the bottom. What you'll have to figure out which is the bottom and which is the top, but choose the one that says the bottom and just go to the transparency area of your gradient panel and make the opacity level like 30% or 40%, and you'll get that kind of look. And because it's both Pantone colors, it will print perfectly. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Try it. If you have a problem, you let me know. All right. So that leaves us with exporting this. There's two ways to export this. And one way, and so do you guys think that if you were going to come in, before I go to the export part of this, because we got 47, we got only about 12 minutes left. You guys think at this point you'll have any trouble working with this program to create a card like this? You guys think you'll be all right?
This is D. I think I'm going to be good.
Huh?
I was just saying this is D responding. I think I'm good.
Okay. Derek and Benita, you think you're okay?
I'm fine.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So now here's the thing. In the end, what you want to do is you want to send this thing to a printer. And you've done everything right. You've basically set up your, oh, by the way, what you might want to do here is you could theoretically select this text and go type, let's see, here we go, create outlines, okay? And once again, what you've done is you've created outlines. This is no longer text. This is actually a graphic, okay? But edit, undo, create outlines. Normally, you don't do that. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do one of two things. If your printer will allow it, you're going to send them a PDF. What a PDF is capable of doing is it's capable of essentially trapping all these elements into the PDF, collecting them sort of in a way that the printer now has everything he needs to print this document. So if your printer will allow you to do that, you will use PDF. The other process is what is known as, right here, File, Package. And what I want to do is I want to first demonstrate how to package this so I can explain it. So I am running out of time, so I'm going to do this kind of quickly. If you have any questions about this, I'll demonstrate it again when we do our flyer. But this is really so that all the elements that go into your production get put into a folder that you send to the printer. And what those elements will be any embedded file or any placed file, which is that logo, all the text that you use, the colors that are being referenced, okay? So I'm going to go package, and I get the package dialog box. Now look over here. It says summary, fonts, links and images, colors and inks, print settings, and external plugins. If I wanted to, I could look at each one of these and check them all. But here's the thing. Especially in a simple file like this, we have what's known as the summary. And if you look at the summary, the first thing it says is the fonts. There were 4 different fonts used. None of them are missing. None of them are embedded. None are incomplete. And none are protected. So it is telling you that there is no problem with your fonts. By saying 0000, there's no problems. If it said 1 missing, then you'd have to find out what's missing and why. But since it says 0000, my fonts are okay. So does that make sense? You understand that? It's the same thing. It's the same thing with
yes.
all. Okay. Links and images. 1 link found, 0 modified, 0 missing, 0 inaccessible, 0 embedded, 0 use RGB color. So once again, since you see all zeros there, all of these things are okay. There was 1 link found. So do you know what that link is? Who knows what that link is?
Your logo.
There you go. You guys are getting this. This is exactly what you should be knowing. Perfect. So now check this out. Colors and inks. 1 process ink. 2 spot colors. Look at that. It's telling you right there. 2 spot colors. So the printer looks at this and sees 2 spot colors. He looks over here and there's the spot colors. So he knows exactly what he's got to do. The process ink is the black ink. So he knows to replace the process ink using a black, which would be a Pantone black, or he'd use process black. Either way, it would be fine. There's no plugins, there's no opaques and all this other stuff, so we're really good. So all you really have to do is quickly look through this summary and make sure that there's nothing coming up flagged as being missing, and nothing is here. Really, once you do that, you just come over and hit package. And publication must be saved. Save it now. Yes, save it. So what it does is it saves the file. Now, why does it save the file? It saves the file because it needs to be able to recreate the links into another folder. Once it saves the file, then it can take the links and it can relink them into a folder that's in the folder that you're going to create in this package. Does that kind of make sense to you?
Yes.
Good. So the step before this is we get this printing instructions. And what this is it's a way for you to communicate with the printer. So what you do here is you'd put the name of the file called AquaCard, contact Bill Sweeney. I'm the one that's doing the job. Some company, you'd put the name of the company that you're working for. The address, if you want, you can put your address there. The phone, you'd put your phone. If there's a fax number that you want, you put the fax. You put your email in. And then instructions. I just wrote print as instructed, but bottom line is you'd put down whatever instructions you would want to give to the printer. So this is just a way to communicate a little bit of information to the printer to help him. Okay? I'm going to hit continue, and I'm exporting this. I'm going to put it on my desktop, and it's going to be called AquaCard folder. And I'm going to hit package. And then right here, restrictions apply to copy and font software. So essentially what this is saying is that you are allowing the printer to use the fonts that you're using in your project for this project only. That's all this says. You don't really have to worry about it too much. So hit OK. And look, it's packaging the document. It's done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the other way, which is file, let's see here, save as. No, cancel. Wrong one. File, export, Adobe PDF for print. I'm going to go to desktop, and I'm looking for my, where is it? AquaCard folder. That's it, AquaCard folder. So it's going to call AquaCard PDF, Adobe PDF print. I'm going to hit save. And this time, what I'm going to do is press quality. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on marks and bleeds. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that all printer marks are selected, and I'm going to use document bleed settings because I did specify bleed settings. So here, because this is a final card going to the printer, you want to make sure that all of your marks are showing. Okay? So the difference is when you're creating that logo to go into this program, you don't want to show any marks. But here, this is going to go to the printer. You want to show the marks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We hit export. And we're done. I'm going to come in here now. I'm going to drop this down. And on my desktop somewhere, wherever it is my folder. I guess it's here. Let's see. Where is it? AquaCard folder. There it is. AquaCard folder. Okay, so when I open up the folder, this was what was created by the package. In here are your document fonts. When I click on this, there are your fonts. It's actually, what it did was it copied the fonts that are in your font library into this folder to send along to the printer. Here's the links. Look, Aqua Logo Final, encapsulated postscript. There's your link, okay? And then you've got your AquaCard. I can't open this, but if I were to open it, that's that sheet that I put some information into the printer. There is my AquaCard InDesign with all the links referring to the links here and all the fonts referring to the documents in there. And here finally is my Adobe card or my Adobe PDF. When I click on this, I open it up and watch this. There it is. There is my card, and my card has my, actually I lost my bleed. This didn't quite work out right. But anyway, I'd have to go back and redo this. I did this slightly wrong. Anyway, you'll see you got your printing marks here and you got your crop marks, but this doesn't show the bleed. Somehow or other, I did this a little bit wrong. But can you see what I'm talking about?
Question, do
Right.
you want all of those files attached as the assignment, or do you want just the final PDF file?
No, you can choose. I'm just showing you how to do both ways. You can do the,
No, but I mean as far as what you want us to
no, you don't have to do
submit.
them all. No, you can just go, you can just create the Adobe PDF. I'm going to go back in and see if I can fix it. I want to see what I did wrong.
I'm gonna have to get off because I have another class starting up in about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I took out document bleed settings. I don't know why. I'm going to put in 0.125, and I'm going to include the slug area. Let's see if I can get this to. There we go. Now hit export, and let's see if I've fixed it. That's what I think the problem was. Yeah, there we go. Okay, can you see that now? I got my bleed. So does everybody got that? Any questions? Because I'm done.
Got it. I got it.
You sure?
I'm so sure.
Okay. You sound like I've actually bored the heck out of you tonight. Was it terrible?
No, I just had a rough week, and I was just trying to stay up, but I got it.
Okay. So anyway, all you need to do really is create the card. I only created the front. You create a front and back if you want. If you want to create a front, if you do a nice job in the front, I'll be happy to take that as well. Whatever you want to do, front or back, or just do the front, but do a nice job on it. Make sure, most importantly, that you're working with 2 Pantone colors and black or 3 Pantone colors. I don't care which, but make sure that you do that part of it right, okay? It's very critical that you do that. And I'm done. Good luck for the exercise tonight. I'm going to stop recording.